Hello beautiful and wonderful people, hawamu nyingine na wakaribisha ndani ya The Kenyan Daily Report. Kisa cha Justin Muturi, mwanawe pamoja na Rais William Ruto na tume ya upelelezi nchini Kenya ya National Intelligence Service ni kisa ambacho kimezua maswali tata soa katika vichwa vya Kenya na katika vyombo vya habari kwa jumla. Now, as of right now, some new details have come to light on what might have really led to the abduction of Justin Muturi's son. Not only that, what really also triggered the National Intelligence Service to kidnap this man, and also an allegation in regards to the fallout between President William Ruto and the then Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, Justin Muturi. Allow us to diverge deep into a conversation that has currently been relayed unto us and some new info that has been leaked to the public by none other than Maverick Aoko. Aoko is one of the most proficient bloggers, or let me say, influencers on platform X, who has always relayed to us most sufficient and legit information in regards to the dark dealings or shady dealings of the government. She says this: Guten Morgen. How do you prefer your caffeine? Dark with sucrose, dairy or plain? Yaani, mnataka chai yenu ambayo nipo tayari kwa sasa kuwapakulia iweje? And she continues, okay, here you go. April 2024, General Gola is offed. Mutiny brews ascendancy in the military. To take matters worse, in May, through Duale's influence, Ruto appoints Fatu Mohammed as commander of Kenya Air Force. Jeshi ikajam zaidi. We were busy celebrating that a woman and a Muslim has been elevated. We didn't ask questions. Number one, woman has no flight hours, so why her to lead the Air Force? Ni kama uweke court clerk as a magistrate. Would her position benefit? Look at the responsibility of an Air Force commander. Jibu iko hapo, but hold it, I will come back with that. It's tied to Kasongo's Dubai visit. On June 25th, the Gen Z uprising reaches its zenith. Kasongo is shitting. No, I wouldn't use that. Now Kasongo is cornered. This ahead of the swamp wardos, the crocodiles, the crocs, which are the military. The other side is teeming with lions, Mifid youth. Both wamemkataa. Justin Biden Muturi is the Attorney General. Ruto and Duale, then CS of Defense, begs him as the legal seal holder of the executive to sanction martial law. JB refused. Ilipata kama 22nd, 3 days to the famous June 25th, his son had been abducted by ATPU and Terrorism Protection Unit. Wale walishika kipembe. Leslie is just a drug wash but harmless. That's why Akinasudi, Cheriot, etc. keep insisting it was a coup, because Muturi refused to cooperate and he was in touch with Gachagua. He went ahead to resign in August. Ruto goes to Museveni, wailing like a new bride. Sebo advises him to reach out to Raila. The handshake between Raila and Ruto was brokered by Museveni himself in Mbarara, Uganda. Hapo ndio Ruto was given those UG commandos terrorizing us. Ndio Raila gave him that bold woman to replace Muturi as AG. And then Ruto made Soipani Tuya the defense CS. Hadi hapo, are we together? Any question? Good. Meza hiyo narudi. Meanwhile, on vitu government tabloid called The Star wanaandika. Now, that is something that once you read it with an open mind, you will come to understand. Now, allow me to return to the question of martial law. What is martial law in Kenya? And how can martial law be declared in Kenya? That is a question that we will ask, and I am here to give an answer to you as the followers of the Kenyan Daily Report. How can martial law be declared in Kenya? Now, remember, by the time the Gen Z were in the street, Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya was Justin Bridan Muturi. You know, martial law is like the state of emergency, and it was said to be declared before even the Gen Z took over the country. Number one, how can this be declared a state of emergency in a country? Number one, a state of emergency may be declared only under Article 132(4)(d) and only when, number one, the state is threatened by war, invasion, general insurrection, disorder, natural disaster, or other public emergency, and the declaration is necessary to meet the circumstances for which the emergency is declared. Number two, a declaration of martial law and any legislation enacted or other action taken in consequence of the declaration shall be effective: A, prospectively, and B, for no longer than 14 days from the date of the declaration, unless the National Assembly resorts to extend the declaration. Now, number three, the National Assembly may extend a declaration of a state of emergency by resolution adopted one, following a public debate in the National Assembly. Number two, by majority specified in clause 4, and 4, no longer than 2 months at a time. Number four, the first extension of the declaration of a state of emergency requires supporting vote of at least 2/3 of all members of the National Assembly, and any subsequent extension requires a supporting vote of at least 3/4 of all the members of the National Assembly. Number five, the Supreme Court may decide on the validity of a declaration of state of emergency, B, any extension of a declaration of state of emergency, and C, any legislation enacted or other action taken in consequence of a declaration of a state of emergency. Now, a declaration of state of emergency or a legislation enacted or other action taken in consequence of any declaration may not permit or authorize the indemnification of the state or of any person in respect of any unlawful act or omission. Now, that is in regards to the Constitution. Now we are looking at the Constitution of Kenya and how martial law might be declared. But before martial law is declared or a state of emergency is declared, the Attorney General in our republic is the principal legal advisor to the president and to the government at large. Even if the cabinet secretaries, the president, and everybody seated in the council of the National Security Council has agreed with the terms of declaration of state of emergency. Remember, being the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, he will be questioned, and they can even be called to the International Criminal Court to answer to why there was a declaration of state of emergency at a time when the country never needed a state of emergency. So J.B. Muturi decided to not follow the orders of the president, and that is when, while the ideology was brought to Muturi to sign on the declaration of the state of emergency, according to Aoko, he refused. And after refusing, his son had to be taken into custody as a convincing factor that he needs to adhere to what the president says. Now remember, when a state of emergency was declared, Remember, it was declared for 14 days. We had the military in the streets of Nairobi. And these military were under this is after the 25th of June. This is after the invasion of Parliament and the Supreme Court. These military were ordered by the Cabinet Secretary of Defense to take over the street of Nairobi. This is after Duale received orders from Ruto. After having a meeting, a consultative meeting between Ruto and Duale, they decided it's about time. Now the military is deployed in the streets. Ndio maana mliona hizo malori and everything, all those big machineries zikiingia Nairobi to now tell the youth it's about time you go home. But before that, Muturi had refused. And for him to be convinced to go ahead to sign on the state of emergency, his turn. He had to be convinced in a way because alikuwa amekataa. And the convincing came after his son was taken. Now remember, the NIS had tapped into phone conversation of the DP, that is Rigathi Gachagua, and they realized that Gachagua is in contact with the Attorney General. And remember, the conversation about a coup has been going on for a very long time about how Gachagua plotted a civilian coup. But at the end of the day, there has not been any supporting evidence. And that is why Gachagua has never been held accountable of anything that was said. But they realized hatuwezi fanya hii kitu, hatuwezi ingiza military street bila sisi kuwa na support ya nini? Support ya Attorney General. Signature ya Attorney General, I mean. So the Attorney General had to be convinced to sign so that the martial law would be declared. Tunaelewana? Now go back to the military being sent on the streets. According to the insights that we have, when the military took over the streets, we have different sources telling us that wanajeshi walikuwa wamekataa. They were not happy. The generals of the military were not happy with the orders of them being sent to the streets of Nairobi to deal with the protesters. Yet they know that is not their job. Yet they know that is not their work. Their work is to deal with the external threats to the republic. And this was not an external threat. These were just youth demonstrating. But they had taken it a notch higher by touching down key infrastructures in the country, including the parliament, the Supreme Court, and other, including the office of the Nairobi governor. The destruction of property in Nairobi. Now, according to Aoko, she tells us that Muturi had to be pushed to declaring martial law. And the push came when his son was taken into custody. Now, let's see what you think in regards to these information that has currently come to light. Wewe kwa maoni yako aswa kama Mkenya na kulingana na story na visa ambavyo Muturi amekuwa akiongelea. You know, Muturi has been talking about asking the question on why his son was abducted and all that. But we can all agree that he himself has some insights on what really happened and why he had to be pushed to that level. Kwa sasa mambo ni kama hayo, tuungane katika video zetu zijazo. Hii